Welcome to Wizard Team, a Black magical podcast for Black magical stories.
Hi everyone, it's Bayana and Robyn embarking on a journey through the many fantasy stories written by and about Black people. Currently, we are reading Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston. Today, we are discussing Chapter 30. Porshèa is somewhere hanging out with Madame Violet, but she will be back next week.
All right, so what we discussed last week, there was a hybrid attack on the Bureau. Gasp. The safest place, but yikes. We have Magnus, played by Henry Simmons, looking out for Amari. He has his own stun axe. The other agents are there too, but Magnus is really they're fine, whatever. But Magnus is really out here. They're getting the kids to safety. And
they
all that,
played a role, I
guess. They
did
what they, they were fine.
They did their best.
The Rangers came too and helped out with their phoenixes doing dive bombs. That was kind of tight.
It was tight. It wasn't what Magnus was doing, but it wasn't an attempt was made.
It was helpful, It was
helpful.
Backup is important,
Everyone needs a sidekick. Everyone needs some backup.
And then Moreau's apprentice makes an appearance. Amari and Dylan run after them, and then it is revealed that the apprentice is Maria Van Helsing. And not only is it Maria Van Helsing, but she has taken the Black Book. So we're in some deep doo-doo.
We have been bewitched, bamboozled, led astray.
Yeah. Hate that for us.
Yeah.
Mostly them in the Bureau, but for us too. I'm
not a great look.
It's not they're struggling.
Yeah.
But what can you do?
Keep it on.
All right. So, chapter 30 is what we are on. So basically they're scrambling because they were not prepared for this attack, obviously. So Chief Crow is kind of talking about, like, they're trying to figure out how the hybrids got in. They're trying to figure out they're investigating, like, what happened, what went wrong. All the trainees.
Where did our systems fall apart?
Exactly.
I can tell you one place that their systems failed. They don't got no magicians in their camp, so they don't know what they're capable of.
First of all, this is the chapter where I was just, like, honestly fed up. Not gonna lie.
I know.
I was like, are y'all for real?
I'm pretty sure I know exactly what line too, because I was like, you have got to be kidding me.
Like, huh? You never even
This is a Wendy's.
Come on, you've never heard the phrase "know your enemy." Know your enemy, even if you're gonna be okay. We'll
get there.
We'll bottle it. We'll come back. So all the trainees and junior personnel are to remain in their dormitories unless given express permission to do otherwise. Dinner will be delivered directly into your rooms. I will say, we talk a lot of mess about the Bureau, and we'll keep seeing through the chapter, and I think next one too. We talk a lot about the Bureau and, like, how they be tripping. But I will say they take the safety of the kids very seriously. And so it's very, even though it, like, provides obstacles for Amari, obviously, like, it's really refreshing to see that they're like, no. Even the junior agents and junior, like, whatever from their junior, from any of the things, like, y'all are still kids. We're not about to, like, have you out here while we're trying to deal with this. Like,
we don't even know what happened. So, like,
it's like they're the first people that are being evacuated. They're now, like, stuck in their dormitories until they know it's safe. They're, you know what I mean? Like, all of these protocols. I appreciate that on, like, a general level, even though they be tripping on other levels.
I agree. I'll also say, and this is just because I am who I am, I love a DoorDash.
Yeah,
I love a delivery to my room.
Absolutely.
So 100%. I'm, like, also glad about, like you said, like, they're worried. Their goal is to keep them safe, but they're not like, get in your room and then we forget all about you. You know what I mean? They're still like, we need to make sure that they're safe and healthy and eating. because the last thing you want is some hungry kids sneaking out so they can go get some food.
Come on.
You know, because I would have been done.
I'd have been like, you know what? We're like Bertha. So you sure we can't just sneak up to the kitchen, the cafeteria? Y'all don't want to just take us on a field trip? No? Damn. So Elsie asks Amari, like, what's wrong? Because she's been pacing nonstop since she got to the room. And Amari is like, honestly, she's mad. It's really the situation. Yeah. Now that she knows it's like confirmed that Maria is the magician's apprentice, like she betrayed Quentin, like is the reason why her brother is missing or like worse. And so she's just kind of like getting worked up. Her aura is red, is what Elsie says. And like the reddest she's ever seen. So she's like, no, Amari, like, please stop. Tell me what's going on. Because clearly you were about to like, you're about to blow. So then Amari finally tells her pretty much everything. Which isn't, like Elsie knows a lot, but she had been keeping the thing about Maria a secret to like appease Dylan. So yeah, at this point she's like, I'm telling you what, what happened.
We have limits, you know what I'm saying? And I think like one thing I like about Amari, and we've talked about like kind of her moral code and how she's always trying, when she found out that Maria was a magician, her first thing was like, I don't want to just like ascribe malice to her, right? And I didn't have a choice with people finding out that I'm a magician, but Dylan has had this choice and he doesn't want people to know. I understand why he doesn't want people to know. It's not my place to tell. Like, there's just like instances of Amari being very empathetic and thoughtful and like careful with other people's secrets, right? But then there is always a point in which it's like, okay, well now you're keeping your secret is a danger to me and mine,
right?
And she's not blasting it out to everyone. She's going to tell who she thinks is going to best help her.
But also, at this point, it's kind of been revealed. Like, it hasn't been, like, spread across the bureau, but Elsie could potentially find out anyway.
Yeah, I mean, well, at the point where the people that saw, all of the trainees most of the trainees were evacuated at that point. Yeah. And so it is, like, a little bit less than an open secret because the people that do know are the, like, I think mostly investigators from the bureau, but there are people in the bureau who were there, and then the top level people I'm sure know by now, and they're not gonna blast that information because they're in the middle of an investigation. And we've talked about, like, with Amari, like, the end of the day, she has her own investigation to run, and she's gonna keep your secrets when it's not relevant to her investigation, if it's not stopping her from finding Quentin. But now it's like, no, me and Elsie have been on this trail and she needs to know. And it's I appreciate that.
So they're talking about that, and then Bertha interrupts with like knocking on the door, and says that Amari's presence has been requested by Special Agent Magnus ASAP. So Amari hurries out. She takes Lucy the elevator, who has a bunch of questions that Amari does not know the answer to or can't answer. But then she goes quiet when they get to the Department of Supernatural Investigations. An agent steps into the elevator and is like, state your business. When Amari tells him she's there to see Magnus, he like taps the earpiece and is like, I've got Peter here to see Agent Magnus, confirmed. So everything is like,
super,
you can't just be walking around. They're very serious. They're like,
we got questions. Yeah.
We're
not looking the other way. We're not letting that slide. What are you doing?
I need to know specifically where you need to go. I need to confirm it. I need to
where
make sure that, like, he's like, do you know the way? When she confirms that, then he's like, go straight to his office and then come right back to this lobby. Understand? She says, yes, sir. And then he lets her go. So it's very serious out here. So she goes through the lobby into the main hallway. The whole area is a mess. There's papers everywhere. Big chunks of the wall dented or missing entirely. It looks like a bomb went off and there isn't a person in sight. So
hybrids did some work.
They were very serious. They were really out here. So she walks around the U to the offices, and she's just kind of feeling like sad about it. Like she's like, this place belonged to my brother, and I've worked this summer to make it belong to me too. So like she actually is feeling an attachment to this place, and like feels like this is her
not
her
home,
spot.
but home
Not,
away
yeah,
from
I was like,
home.
not home, because it's a place of work, but like it's important to her. Here comes Director Van Helsing in the hallway surrounded by other agents. He does a double take when he sees Amari and is like, what on earth are you doing here? When she like explains, he's like, whatever business you have, make it quick. We'll be locking down the entire bureau within the hour. So this is like, it's funny because in my notes I wrote he's less hostile, but that all is like moot by the end of the chapter. So like I was like,
yeah,
I was also like, he's probably feeling like embarrassed and like feeling like a fool. But
yeah, I was also gonna note that I was like, I was really shocked when I got to this point in the chapter, because I was like, oh, is he eating crow?
Right, literally.
Like cheese crow. And is he? It's difficult, right? Because like there are people who just will refuse to believe that they have ever been wrong, done wrong, whatever. But there are moments in which you get confronted with your failings, right? And so I was, when you get to this point, I was like, oh, is he going to actually confront his role in this, and like where he might have made mistakes, where he could have done better? Spoiler alert. Nah.
but it's still a moment. I also think,
but there was a moment.
Like there's a moment, but also I think like this, and then the one in when the attack is happening and he has Amari go on with the rest of the, like the moment where he looks at her and he's like, hurry up before you get left or whatever to evacuate. Like I do think, and this isn't like, I think he's just a straight up bigot, whatever, but he does do his job in the fact that, like, again, we were talking about like the kids, making sure they're safe. He does, I don't know that he cares particularly if Amari specifically is safe, but as his role as director and like within this, like, within this space, I think part of it was also just like, you're not supposed to be here, y'all are supposed to be on lockdown, whatever. But that doesn't stop him. It's like separate from him also being like, you're a magician and I hate y'all.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things where I'm not 100% sure about this, and I don't think that it is valid, because I think bigots like will tell themselves this all the time, and they
it's like
they think it feels better nice when they say like, when it's nice versus kind and all that stuff, but it's also like, I just don't want you here in my space. Like, you can exist, that's fine. Just I don't want to have to see or acknowledge you. So I don't wish you harm, right? Which all of my actions disprove that it's a lie, right? That's why I'm like, it's very difficult to kind of like to separate. There are like, I think, levels to bigotry and hatred and all of these. There's levels to humanity, right? Where it's like, I can be hateful and not want to be violent. I can be, prejudiced or exclusionary and not want violence. There's tons of people who are like, if you sent, I don't know how they would do this, but if you sent every person of color back to their ethnic origins and out of my line of sight, and I was able to just exist in this homogeneous world, and know intellectually that there are different people out here, but never have to confront them, they would be happy, right? They wouldn't go so far as like genocide or whatever. That's not realistic. It's not helpful. It's not nice. It's not kind. You don't get any cookies for that. But it doesn't reach the level of like, I would like you to all be exterminated off the face of the planet, right? So it's a level type of thing. I'm not trying to give kudos for
That's what I'm
it,
saying.
but I
It's
think
not to give kudos. It's literally just to point out. Like, I'm only pointing it out. I don't think it matters in the long run. It doesn't actually matter. He's still a vile human being. So, and he'll continue to prove that. It's not like this is like where he changes. It's not like, oh, this is the end. Or even if he never changed, but then decided, you know what, I'm gonna just be quiet because my family is clearly on dirt right now.
Stuff.
Even if it was that, it wouldn't change how I feel about him. But he doesn't decide to shut his mouth. So
no,
we'll just.
But we had a moment of hope. Like we both.
We had a moment of like,
oh, is this
maybe not introspection, but at least like
the start of
quiet.
At
least quiet.
Yeah,
like sometimes
quiet.
It's just stop talking. So Amari goes to finally gets to Agent Magnus's door, and she's rushed inside. The office looks like a hybrid got loose in here too. There are file folders scattered across his desk. The floor is covered in loose papers. Amari's like, Maria, it was her all along. Magnus says, I won't lie and tell you it don't break my heart, but there will be plenty of time for the cursing and shouting. Right now, we need to focus on our next move. He places the briefcase, with the Quentin's briefcase, on the desk. And then he goes to his keyboard, pulls up her bureau webpage, and says, good, all 4 of us judges submitted our marks before the hybrid attack. Which, she did have a little time because she was feeling, she was taking in the moment before. So we get the results for her, for the trials, or for her tryouts. She passed the first 2 tryouts, as we know. In the finale, she got a 91% in her supernatural knowledge score. The stun stick duels was 2 wins, 0 losses. And then the supernatural demonstration, she got 3 out of 4 passing marks. So from Magnus, she got excellent. From Fiona, she got excellent. From Cozy, she got satisfactory. He sounds like a hater, but not a big not. He was like, you know what? It was still good though.
But facts
but it was
facts.
impressive. Like he did. She did well. Like I don't like it, but she did do something.
She did what she was supposed to do.
Yeah,
she met the criteria.
And then Van Helsing failed her completely because, again, as we know, certified in the board of hateration.
In the Hall of Fame of haters, a la the Chappelle skit.
Yep. Trainee Peters has met all requirements for promotion. Magnus tells her not to worry about the fail. You only need 3 out of 4 to pass this year. Fiona made that rule change early because she thought the director might not give Amari a fair shake. And
I was thinking about
I mess with them.
I mess with them, but also the fact that you are so known, and I don't know. I feel like I've had this kind of boss before. I talk to my friends all the time about having this where you kind of manage up or manage around your boss, and you know exactly what their failings are, and you know exactly the crap that they're going to try to pull. And so you have
built in stuff
prepared and built in to because you at some point this is, and the fact that they knew
from jump,
probably from the moment she got her supernatural ability.
And I would probably not, maybe not in the moment she got super. I think after they talked because remember they all had the conversation and Fiona read her intentions and all that. I think after that they were like, okay, we're gonna have to help this girl out because this man. Well, maybe even, I think they said we were gonna have to help her out, but then as soon as she declared for the Department of Supernatural Investigations, I think that's when they were like, okay,
all right,
we got to make sure that she can. And Magnus and
mess with it, but it's also
top tier adults in fiction.
Yeah, seriously. But it's also, to me, it's imagine being so universally known. Your haterism is clock, they can count on it. Death and taxes.
One thing we know is gonna happen is Van Helsing's gonna be a hater.
Yeah, we don't know how he gonna do it. But whatever chance they looked at the whole, okay, this is how we have laid out the summer camp and the trials, and where the places
she wasn't even supposed to do. She wasn't even supposed to do the supernatural demonstration. So they were like, no. She said, just in case. somehow, because she wasn't even supposed to be able to do it in the first place. So yeah,
they dotted all the I's, crossed all the T's. They said if there is a place in which he can pull some shenanigans.
Yeah. And I love that. Like when they said we're gonna make sure
again, okay?
Yeah. And yeah, I really love that they were like serious when they told her they were gonna figure out.
Yeah,
look out for her as much as they could.
The best.
We'll do what we can. Yeah. And they meant that. And they did it. So then Magnus is like, "You done good, kid." Then he puts a finger, or he types his name beside promoting agent and taps enter. Then he puts his finger to her moonstone badge and says, "By the power vested in me as a training agent, I promote you, Amari Peters, to junior agent." So her badge warps from a circle into an oval. The Department of Supernatural Investigations engraved above an image of an evenly weighted balance. And then the Bureau of Supernatural Affairs is etched across the bottom. So we out here. Yeah. She's been promoted. And I actually like really love that like the way that the badge changes. It's like a really easy way to distinguish between like a trainee and a agent.
Yeah.
Like that was pretty clever. So now that she's a junior agent, more importantly, it means that she can open this briefcase. The moments her fingers make contact with the briefcase, the locks click open. Which like the fact that these things, the magic like
instantaneously.
Yeah, like the way that they're like, "Oh, we know that you have the clearance for this," is like so interesting. So yeah, so there are several folders inside, but at the bottom of the briefcase, there's a manila folder so thin it looks empty, and it's marked key holder. There's a single sheet of paper inside that reads key holder, Dr. Henry Underhill, MD, shapeshifter, locations, Boonies Medical Clinic.
He's in the boonies.
He's in the boonies.
Love it.
He's in the boonies. And he's Underhill. I love Underhill as a Tolkien nerd because that's Robyn does not know or care about this, but it's the like fake name that Frodo gives when he leaves the Shire initially. He's Mr. Underhill.
Oh, well, I know about Underhill because that is the Fey realm.
And basically, this dude is undercover. Okay, we do not know where he is or who he is because he is.
He might have a little bit of Fey in him. Does that mean there's Fey in the story?
I think there are.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think.
I know there's like pixies, which is a type of
fairy. I can't. Yeah.
But I don't know if there's like Fey the way that there's, like the Weaver and all of those magical fairy courts, feely and unfeely courts, the whole nine.
Yeah. But it's possible. They got mafia Yetis, I feel like. Or Sasquatches, whatever it was. So Magnus says he's going to put in a formal request to be allowed to retrieve the Black Key. And Amari's like, a request? Maria already has the Black Book. She could be on her way right now. And Magnus is like, honestly, she could have the Black Key already. And if that's true, the supernatural world is in a lot of trouble. We can only hope that's not the case. And Amari is like, I'm tired of hoping. Like, we need to... She's like, I've been doing that since I got here. Quentin went mincing trying to stop this. But their hands are tied because, again, this is bureaucracy. As caretakers of the Black Book, they're founded on the oath they can never take the Black Key. It's a whole thing. But the thing is, they don't have the Black Book. So at this point, it feels like I feel like, and, they wrote this thing however many centuries ago, but I feel like it'd be like, oh, except when the Black Book is stolen, then yeah, you should probably find the Black Key. That should be the loophole. But
this kind of reminds me when you were talking about how who knows how long ago this was written. It reminds me so much of I don't know who I was talking to, but they were like, what? So we're just supposed to throw away the Constitution? And I was like, yes. I mean, even the founding fathers didn't think that we would keep the same. I know some of them. I mean, forget them founding fathers, whatever. But if some of them hateful old white men came back today, they'd be like, "You still using that? The ghetto, right?
Also, that's what the amendments are for. That's why they were like, we actually need to edit this thing.
And we're going to, in a minute, see the depth of how little they know about magicianship and what is capable, and who knows, and that's just like one supernatural, like I know that we talk about like, oh, magicians are born a crime or whatever, and like boogeyman I think were created by magicians. Like that's just one piece. Like who knows how much other stuff they don't know about that they feel very confident that they've figured out, right? So it's just like,
right.
yeah,
You
I
need
mean,
contingencies, and you need
yeah,
like
exactly. It's like, in
just
theory, yes, we shouldn't go after the black key, but the theory is that we have the black book, and those, like, the underlying principle is that those two things shouldn't be brought together. We don't have that one now. So
shouldn't we have the
contingency
other?
is
Like,
together, like at the end of the day, making sure that those two things are not brought
are
together.
separate. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm with
So
Amari.
they're gonna call. So Magnus says that if an emergency session is called within the World Congress, then they could probably have an answer within 24 hours, which is a whole day, as Amari says. But
Yeah.
Magnus says it's time we can spend gathering as much information as we can. So he's like, we're not just gonna sit around. We'll put that in, and we'll also try to figure out more. So he says, we'll try Moreau again, see if we can't get a sense of what Maria is planning to do next. It's a long shot, but he'll probably be in a mood to gloat. So Amari starts to protest, but Magnus, I read Agent Magnus together, but Magnus has already pulled out his phone and is like, I need to be connected with the chief immediately. So, yeah. It's a lot.
In celebration of 8 years of B&C, we've launched our Baddie Road Trip Patreon campaign. Help us reach our goal of $1,000 a month in Patreon support by becoming a patron at any tier, and stay tuned for fun content, community events, and more all summer long. Head over to www.patreon.com/blacknerdscreate.
If you've ever wondered why all the black kids are watching anime or why K-pop slaps so hard, then Culture by Culture is the podcast for you.
Analyze Black and Asian cultural connections with the help of experts, deep dive into culturally significant gateway media, and dig into cultural identities and pop cultural interests of fellow fans.
Follow or subscribe on your favorite podcasting app, or visit culturexpodcast.com. That's Culture X, the letter X, podcast.com for more info. Culture by Culture, a multidimensional exploration into Black and Asian pop cultural ties.
All right, so now we're going to Blackstone Prison. Lord Kensington is taking them back, taking them down, while the Bureau waits to hear back from the Supernatural World Congress. So Amari's like kind of doubting that Moreau is going to tell them anything useful, but she's like, it's better than like not doing anything at all.
Yeah.
So
better than the alternative.
Yeah. Lord Kensington is asking how the hybrids even got in, and Magnus says somebody shut off our shields, but only a few people have access to those codes, and I'd trust any of them with my life. Did Maria have the shield codes? Amari asks. Yeah, every special agent does in case of emergency, but her codes would have been deactivated the moment she and Quentin were declared missing in action. The main computer would have done that automatically.
Here's my thing, though. Yes, they were declared missing, so she did. But why does every agent need access to the shield code?
I think it's every special agent, but for like not the junior
like
agents and not the
how many?
Probably a lot. I don't know how many special agents there are.
It still feels like too many.
He said that, and I was like, "You trust a lot of people with your life."
Yeah.
For an agent, like I just feel like,
let's have a little bit more.
But maybe there's less than we think,
And it's not even that you couldn't trust all those people with your life, but it just gives you that many more targets.
Not if you go missing and the thing is deactivated, then it's like, I think they probably have different codes. You know what I mean?
Well, they don't know. It sounds like they all have. yes, but what I'm saying is he's thinking about it as if the only way that those codes could be getting is if the agents voluntarily gave them up. And yes, that's one way, but it's also like Moreau has already shown that he'll kidnap people, hold them hostage. Like there coerce people. It just feels like having that many people have access to something that important, your shields, makes that many people, more people targets for whatever. Yeah. You know? And like, yes, Maria, once they were declared missing, but it took them how long to declare them missing? Like, it's weeks, right? You could snatch them.
I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, but you know, it takes them time, right? So you could have snatched in that hybrid attack, or the first hybrid attack, the one, or the last one where they went after all of the legacy families. You could have snatched someone up who was a special agent, got the codes, I'm assuming you can mess with their memories because they were threatening Amari, messing with memories all the time. You're not the only ones that probably mess with people's memories. Bureau, right? Get they code, send them back, and all the chaos, and then like boom. Yeah. It just feels like there's too many. I a criminal mastermind, have thought of like 15 different holes in this, or 15 different ways this foolproof safety protocol can be. Yeah, like challenge.
Not to mention that Maria is a magician, and that she would need codes to shut down the defenses. And for a moment, Magnus stares incredulous, and then he says, "You're telling me magicians have the power to control computers with their magic?" Amari says, "It's called tech magic." And he's like, "How do you know this?
How do you not?"
And that's my thing. I'm just like, y'all never thought. Like, you know how dangerous you are, right? You've heard all the stories. So I think in their heads, they're like, okay, there's the blood magic. There's the, like, you know, vampire spell. There's illusionists, since that's what Amari is. If that's it, you didn't think we should research what else is out there? Like, literally know your enemy. If this is like, I mean, I guess their whole system is just like, oh, you're a magician, we're gonna lock you up, or we're gonna like regulate you in whatever kind of way, but not to actually figure out how their powers work so that you could defend against your like main reason for existing. Like literally the main reason for y'all existing.
Yeah.
So, and y'all don't know about tech magic? That's crazy. And you're not teaching you're not teaching anyone about these things. You're just like, no, it's evil. That's it.
Yeah. And then and I know that Magnus is not, I mean, he's like, we've just spent so much time praising him. He's a good egg.
It's not, I'm like, I don't even think that's on him specifically. I just think it's like the Bureau overall. Like, y'all are not teaching your people this. No wonder you got broken
into. But it's also like his first thing is like, well, how do you know this? Like, where did you find this out? It's like, she's not scared of learning more about who she is.
Right.
You know? And like, the idea that it's like,
and you should
that
know.
You could find it out.
You should be sitting here like, dang, how come we didn't find it out?
How did we miss this? Yeah, how did you find it?
Like, how did this 13-year-old find it out before you?
Yeah.
So he's like, we're still vulnerable even now. We've got to get you kids home and away from danger. And Amari's like, you can't send me home, not until I found Quentin. You said you let me help. That was before the Bureau got turned into a war zone. I owe it to your brother to keep you safe, Amari. And he's like, after we speak to Moreau, I'm personally going to see that you and your mother are placed in a safe location until this is all sorted out. Again, love this. Hate it for her and what she needs to do. Like, plot-wise, this is a snag. But in terms of just, like,
making sure
how
she's
you
okay.
Actually, yeah, like, this is actually how a person should react. And I like that he included her mom in that and not just, like...
Part of me too is like, it's about time, but then you don't know what you don't know until you don't know it. But also, how did y'all miss this? But I do think that this is like a step in, like you said, bad for Amari plot wise and for what her goals are. In general, it is a positive, and the fact that like Magnus thinks about that, I don't know that, or I think Fiona would think about it too, but I don't know that like someone else would immediately go to like, we need to get these kids out of here.
Yeah.
Now, you know what I mean? So I don't know. They get a E for effort? No?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that I think that they have good protocols, and then they have ones that are silly. And that they should do better. But also some of the things they have work out. And you just have to like have both. I guess. I don't know. So Amari is super annoyed, but it'd be that way sometimes when you're a kid. So they get to Moreau, just like last time. He's sitting in a chair facing away from them. They step out of the elevator, and then the moment Amari's foot hits the smooth black floor of the prison, the inside of Moreau's glass cell transforms into a scene of a fancy party full of people celebrating. And Moreau appears next to the glass. This man is really enjoying himself. Like every time, he's like, "Oh, I'm chilling." Like for what? You're doing all this magic, and for what? Just for the drama. He says, "Is that Agent Magnus? My, it has been a while, hasn't it?" Magnus says, "I take it you know why I'm here. I've heard talks from the guards about your precious bureau being attacked, and by hybrids no less. Such pests. I do hope you called the exterminator. Enough with the games. We know Maria is trying to resurrect Vladimir for you. Tell us how to find her." "You know nothing," says Moreau. "I do confess myself disappointed. I warned you when you captured me that another would take on the mantle and return us to our former glory. Today you show up with your brand new magician in tow. It seems..." Oh no, he says, "You laughed at the idea that other magicians existed outside of the Bureau's knowledge, and today you show up with your brand new magician in tow. It's my turn to laugh now." So there's literally Moreau again. He's here for the drama. He's like, "I don't even know why y'all came to me, but if you want me to laugh, it's fine. I can do that." Moreau looks at Amari and says, "You had your chance to choose the winning side. Perhaps we can teach you to be less trusting, but then maybe all Peters are gullible." And Amari kind of reiterates that she's on her brother's side. Moreau shrugs and says, "I do appreciate you stopping by, even if it amounted to little more than giggles and grins." And then Amari's whole body goes stiff. She has a full-on epiphany.
I see Raven Baxter.
Yes. It's definitely giving that. She hears Madame Violet's voice in her head. An illusionist should never trust that which giggles and grins. The word suddenly makes sense. What's the most obvious reason for an illusionist not to trust? Because we know that eyes can be tricked. It's the very first lesson in her spell book. Never trust, take absolutely nothing at face value. In viewing anything, assume its appearance is false until otherwise proven. And then she remembers more of what Madame Violet said to her about how when she was living, she would cast her magic into the far future and marvel at the scenes her illusions would show. She says, "I saw who you were speaking to, Amari, and the spell you cast." And she's like, "But she couldn't have meant right now, could she?" And then Amari remembers what Moreau said the very first time they met. "There will only be one lie between us," right after he introduced himself. Her man, I would have went right over my head. Still,
Mm-hmm.
I would have been like,
I was reading it. I was reading her explain her thought process, and I was like, I don't get it.
Yeah. No, I get it, but I'm definitely like, dang.
No, I got it. It took me a minute.
It took a second to be like, wait, what? No, yeah. I would have never gotten that on my own. No. But I love that she did.
She got that Amari, 90 on that test. I'm telling you, Amari is street smart.
She's smart.
Book smart.
She's smart.
She's smart.
Her brain was hitting the, like, what was it? The
Her-
Mind Palace in Sherlock. It was making
Right.
the clicks and it was doing the whole thing. I'm like, ooh.
Her brain
okay.
was braining. The synapses were firing.
Literally, she was galaxy brain. That's what that was. So she raises her hand towards Moreau, lifts 2 fingers, and says, "Dispel." The party scene vanishes. All that's left is Moreau in his rocking chair. He tries to stand, his body shaking violently. Still, he moves closer, limping on his left side. Magnus is like, "What did you do to him?" But Amari doesn't answer because she can already see the wrinkles, the gray hairs beginning to fade away. A shorter, paler, much younger man sneers at us. "Good," the man grins darkly. "Very good. For now, you truly understand the danger you're in. My master, a magician whose magic dwarfs your 100%, now possesses the Black Book." Like, sir, please. Like, relax. You're very thirsty. Like,
Yeah.
please just take a drink and we can start over. He goes, "I am but a lowly servant who has played his part in the grand scheme. Join us, girl. You won't want to find out what we do to those who betray their fellow magicians." So
Stop calling me girl, and then maybe we can think about it. But, like,
first of all. Second of all, this means that Moreau was never captured. So that's awkward. He's been behind all of this the whole time.
I will say, very disappointed in Maria Van Helsing. Oh, wait. I'll cut that out.
Yeah, so that's very awkward. Even if Maria hadn't been, like, exposed as like, you know, magician's apprentice or whatever, that also just, like, is a
Their
blow
biggest,
to Vanquish's
their biggest triumph.
Celebrity. Hate that for them. So the most dangerous being in the supernatural world has the Black Book. Magnus asks Amari how she knew, and she explains about Madame Violet. Magnus says, "This changes everything. If we don't get our hands on that key, the world might not last another 24 hours. They dash to Lord Kensington, and Magnus shouts, "Take us directly to the chief." And that's where we end.
To freedom!
Yeesh.
Sorry.
It's very it's a lot. That plot twist is pacing
of this. I think we talked about the pacing of this book before as well, but I really love the pacing of this book because I feel like pretty regularly exciting things are happening. Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of, like, filler chapters. Mm-hmm. And so it feels very, like, action packed, but then, like,
it moves very fast. Like, they like, if we weren't reading this weekly, it goes by very quickly. Like, you're really, like, sucked into it.
Yeah, but I also think that, like, the action in the beginning parts of the book are very, like, gripping and, like, you want to know what's going on. But then this one, you know, we only have a couple of chapters left, and, like, this seems like, oh, you know what I mean? And so it's like he still is able to, like, heighten. And there are some books where you get to this point and you're like, let's just solve it. Like, let's just be done.
Yeah.
You don't at all get that with this, and I love it.
Yeah. I definitely feel, because I think we're only, like, 3 chapters until the end. Yeah. Definitely reading it, I remember, like, the first time being like, yo, how is this gonna
I'm like,
gonna wrap up? Because
as you're like, holding, you're like, I have not many pages left.
Yeah.
And this seems like a big deal. Like,
yeah. So, woo. Okay, who is your MVP?
Magnus.
Same.
Magnus Mac. Agent Magnus.
Agent Magnus. No. But yes, agreed. He's just really on it. He's like, you know, we're gonna promote Amari. We're gonna open this briefcase. We're gonna figure out what's going on. We need to get the Black Key. He's just very much, like, not.
Yeah. And especially, like,
he's on it, and also, like, yeah, shout out to Fiona for real, but she wasn't in this chapter. But, like, shout out to her for real. But, like, I think that he's, like, treating Amari like an agent, and, like, she has value, and, like, can help in the situation, up to the point where he also still remembers that she's a kid. You know what I mean? Like, he's not pushing her to do anything that's like more than like, he's not expecting too much from her, even though she obviously wishes that he would, you know, not take into account that she's 12. But as an adult, I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I mean, I think like it would have been very easy, because we've seen like the ways in which Magnus can be protective of not just Amari but all of his students. Like, the first time she went to the prison, he was very against it. He did not think it was like the way to go. And so you could see a scenario in which he promotes her, gets her to open the thing, and then leaves her in his office. But, you know, it's not like I'm not just promoting you to use you for your fingerprint to open this case. Like,
right.
You have earned your junior agent, and I'm going to treat you as such. And so,
yeah,
I agree. I appreciate what he did.
But yeah, but also like honorable mention to Fiona, just for
making sure that they were able to do what they needed to do without letting the haters win.
And just like looking out for Amari, like actually like caring, not just being like, oh, that sucks. like Fiona and Magnus could have 100% just been like, oh, sucks, that sucks, I don't know what to do, can't help you out with that. Like, could have easily done nothing, and instead are like really looking out for her in general,
especially because like it's not just that the bureau is kind of against Amari, it's like their boss,
you know? Literally boss. Like, they have to like go against him specifically, and they have the clout to do it, which is like good. Like, they do, like, overall he still has the final say, but like they do have the like standing to make those decisions and stuff. So that helps too, and like them knowing that they have that power and actually using it is great.
Yeah. Who'd you bench?
I've benched Van Helsing. Mostly because he's in this chapter, but also because he's a hater. Like, why is he a hater? Like, you really failed her, even though she did great in her exam, just because you have your own biases, despite your own family history. Like,
and because she was able to like circumvent your obviously failed attempt to, you know, keep her down,
not pass her in the first place.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So him.
So I have two. The Van Helsing. I said the Van Helsing magicians because I also think a part of like the Van Helsing thing and like having this kind of clout, and then the way that he just like is kind of reeling after this revelation about Maria is the fact that these Van Helsing magicians have gone forever without being open about who they are. And so it's, you know, sunlight is the only disinfectant for like, what do you call it? Corruption and all of those awful things. It's like, I feel like if the first Van Helsing magician would have just been like, yep, bet you're wondering how I got here. You know, you want to know something interesting about me and my family.
Yeah, for real.
We wouldn't have had he would have never been in this position to kind of like a lot of things just would have been different because the Van Helsing since the first one have been influential. I'm not saying the very first Van Helsing could have who caught the Vladimir should have been the one that was like, actually I caught him because I'm also a magician. Could have been nice though. You know,
well, who
magician
was that?
versus
Abraham?
Magician, and who? Yeah, Abraham, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, like,
but we just would have been in a whole different place. And then I also had to bench Madame Violet because,
dang,
why are you giving me riddles? It took her like you're very lucky that this Van Helsing imposter said grins and grits or whatever till it unlocked.
Well, no, she's not lucky. She looked in the future. She knew it was going to be said. So she was like,
okay, but she could have also just been like, listen here, girlie, I done looked in the future, and that Moreau you talking to is not the Moreau that you think it is. And if you might want to go back up into that prison and dispel some things and get some knowledge.
But she's dead, so she doesn't care. That ain't got nothing to do with her. That's none of her business. Where's the fun and the petty and where's the drama in that? You know?
There is no drama in that.
And that's why.
And that's why she's benched.
I mean, I'm not saying you can't bench her. I'm just saying I peep for vision.
I get it. I love some petty as much as the next person, but when your petty inconveniences me, you gonna be benched. You inconvenience Van Helsing, I'm gonna be like, that was awesome. I love that.
Yeah, love that for you.
Do that again.
Love for everybody.
You inconvenience me.
Yeah.
Consequences. Choices.
That's real. Well, thanks for listening. We will be back next week with chapter 31. See what comes then.
What comes next? It's what do you call it? Tense. It's tense. It's getting tense up in here when we're getting close to the end. Mm-hmm. Wizard Team is brought to you by Black Nerds Create. If you want to keep up with our other content, you can by checking out our website at blacknerdscreate.com. Follow us on Twitter at BLKNerdsCreate, at Yana Wrote It, at Robyn_Rambles. It's Robyn with a Y. And if I'm not tweeting, it's because Elon has decided that I'm not allowed to tweet. I don't know what I did to him, but tis what it is. And at Porshèa. Follow us on Instagram and Tumblr at Black Nerds Create, and subscribe to our monthly magic newsletter. And also rate and review this podcast since you're listening to it and you've made it this far.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye.